Boss battles. Main enemies of a game. They are meant to be important to the story and test your skills in various gameplay regards. There are many, many bosses. Some easy, others hard, some pathetic, and others impossible. However, there are some bosses that don't see many people talk about. Fun bosses. Those bosses that might have been easy, might have been hard, but are always enjoyable to fight. Those bosses that you save a separate file just so you can fight them over and over. These are my personal top 10 most fun bosses that I have faced. Keep in mind, I have not played every game ever. So if you don't see a boss in here that you would like to see, let me know in the comments. Nicely though, please. Not raging at me. With all that said, let's begin. Number 10. Ganondorf and Ganon. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Can't really spoil what's been known and expected for years. This fight has been built up the entire game. You travel through time, become much stronger, went up a giant castle, and have finally come face to face with the big bad in the entire franchise for the first time in 3D. SHIT! Did he just destroy the ground with a punch? This fight may not be difficult, and Ganondorf may not have many moves, despite being a sorcerer, but playing magic tennis with a flying thief is really cool and fun. Also, seeing him explode in the light and kneel down pathetically is always a sight to behold. But it doesn't end there. After escaping the castle after it crumbles, Ganondorf emerges from the rubble and transforms into a massive beast, Ganon. He wields two swords, and the real fight begins in a ring of fire. Again, not a difficult fight, but going head to head against a giant demonic pig with two swords is a blast to do. Man, when you describe how these bosses look and fight, you know how weird Nintendo can get. Number 9. Gehrman, Bloodborne. One thing I love in all types of media is the epic, tension-filled, one-on-one rival fights. A one-on-one rival fight is always a blast to play, watch, read, etc., in my opinion. Hint, you'll see quite a few of these on this list. The first one being Gehrman, the final boss from Bloodborne. One of the final bosses. But you can still fight him by himself or before the secret final boss. So is he just considered 1 to 3, or is he his own thing? Sorry. Slight tangent. Anyway, this fight can be incredibly difficult due to his high damage, fast moves, slightly unpredictable patterns, and acting more like a player than a boss. Regardless, when you do figure out his pattern, he is so fun to fight. It's almost like looking in a mirror. When you fight this guy, you're thinking, oh god, stop hitting me so much! Otherwise, you're thinking, man, I wish I could do all those moves. The music is also somber, which is surprising for a final boss. So this fight is difficult, a bit sad, but it's fun all around. Also, he can do this. So freaking cool! Number 8. General Bull, Puppeteer. Puppeteer is a really quirky and great game that I wish more people have played. In any case, I found the entire game really enjoyable, but this boss fight takes the cake. I always had a weird affinity for Lucha Libre and Spanish culture, even though I know jack shit about both, and this boss fight really represents why. You're in a coliseum fighting a giant robot bull who keeps charging at you, and you need to head slam him from above to defeat him. The fight itself is not hard. In fact, it's pretty easy. But the rush from dropping headfirst in a spiral motion and slamming down the bull is always amazing to do. Not to mention funny narration and a pretty awesome quick time event at the end. I guess you could say this bull just got rammed. I'll see myself out. Number 7. Darth Vader Boss Battle. Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Yes, you heard that right. A boss battle against one of the most iconic movie villains of all time. You begin the game playing as him, and I wish there was a full game centered around this, and end the game against him. Kind of. He trained you, raised you, betrayed you, lied to you, and it all accumulates in a final showdown against the OG sci-fi bad guy. The fight starts in a little corridor, similar to the fight between Obi-Wan and Vader in Episode 4. It then transitions to an orangey steam room where you have to throw back objects that he throws at you. Then you fight Vader in the back of that room, in a fight reminiscent of Luke's fight with him in Episode 5. Finally, you toss Vader out the window, and he crashes to the bottom of the floor of the next room. Throughout the fight, Vader gets constantly more beaten up, starting the fight looking normal, then getting his breathing apparatus damaged, and his armor and cape ruined. However, the fight does not end there. You can choose to go for the good ending and fight Emperor Palpatine in a fight that's just okay, or go for the bad ending and finish off Vader. While the first part of the fight was fun, it was pretty easy. Not this one. Vader hits like a truck, and will toss you around the room if you're not careful. The room, by the way, looks very similar to the room Luke and Vader's final battle in Episode 6 looked like. Similar, not the same. There is a chance you will die on this boss if you're careless. Lightsaber clashes, force fights, constantly changing environments, fight areas that look straight from the movies, and fair difficulty make this boss very enjoyable to always fight against. Now, if only the fight with Vader in the sequel was good. Like, at all. Damn clones. Number 6. Hercules Battle. God of War 3. A fight against the most recognizable Greek hero that everyone uses the wrong version of his name to associate him with? Yes, please. Kratos is a pretty big guy, but is dwarfed by the size of Heracles. The fight starts off as nothing special. He fights with 2 huge gauntlets and wears armor, both forged out of the Nemean lion. Apparently Heracles is a monster hunter. Good to know. He has some goons with him as well. He's slow, but hits fairly hard. You need to drive him into the spiked walls at least 2 times to get rid of his armor. Then all that's left is his weapon, which you take from him. Now you can use his weapon against him. Problem is, now he lost all the heavy weight holding him down. The boss fight completely changes, where now you have a heavy weapon and are fighting against a very fast Heracles, who shows why people like the WWE so much. The fact that the boss fight stays interesting and different the entire time is why I find it so fun. At the very end, Heracles lifts up the arena you were fighting on, and you slam it back down on him. Then you repeatedly punch him in the face over and over until there is no face left. Brings a whole new meaning to the term shit-faced. Number 5. Dark Pit Battle Royale. Kid Icarus Uprising. An entire chapter dedicated to a boss fight is such a great trope that I wish I could see more of. The fight begins in the air, where you battle him multiple times. Then, at a certain point, the battle is taken to land. Here you can fight him multiple times in different locations in a different order. This keeps the fight interesting, as it varies each time you play that chapter. The chapter ends with one final battle on top of floating platforms. This is easily the best and most fun part. One-on-one, equal skill, and challenging. I love this fight and always come back to this chapter. There are normal enemies in this chapter though, so it's not the purest of boss fights. Also, there's one more fight with him later on in the game, which makes this fight not as conclusive as I want it to be, but I don't care either way. I enjoyed it too much. Number 4. Kessler Fight. Infamous. He is the reason you got your powers. He made the ray sphere, killed your girlfriend, and is now ready to face you down in the crater from the beginning of the game. The fight is a fair challenge and it has a pretty good difficulty. You most likely won't die, but you'll get close to death quite a few times. He has the same powers as you do, but much stronger versions. He's very fast, very strong, and insultingly monologues against you once in a while during the fight. He'll make shockwaves, little robot enemies, electric clones of himself, and just be a joy fighting. The way the fight ends is incredibly satisfying, and the revelations that happen afterward shapes Cole into a different person, which carries over into the sequel. The only problem I have with this fight is doing it on hard mode. Much raging ensued. Number 3. Grigory, Dragon's Dogma. I don't care what anyone says, dragons are fucking radical. This fight has been built up since the very beginning, when he stole your heart. Literally, not figuratively. This entire game has been about you getting stronger and stronger, so you can take on the dragon and get your heart back. After getting the choice to leave or fight, choosing to fight him begins an epic battle. You begin this battle by running away from him. The Chosen One, everybody! He gets stuck, and you battle him for a little bit. He escapes, and the castle begins to fall. Now you run across a falling bridge and manage to grab onto Grigory. Now is an awesome sequence where you climb onto the back of the dragon while he's flying. After hitting him in his back heart, the coral gets taken down to the ground. This is where the real fight begins and where the fun begins. You battle and defeat the dragon with your own skills and your pawn's help, but still take it down by yourself. He can fly, breathe fire, use magic, try to take control of your pawns, and is pretty difficult. Underleveled or not, the fight is difficult and long, since the only way you can harm him is by climbing him and hitting him in his heart. The fact that his voice and speeches sound so badass, you'll enjoy hearing him talk while the battle continues.
The hour for turning back is past. The world will have its answer. You or me. Death.
I always get chills from that. Number 2. Henry fight. No More Heroes. Oh look! Another rival fight. Who would have guessed it? While this fight doesn't have much build-up, the boss itself and the payoff is fun, funny, and a joy all around. Besides its insta-kill move, Henry isn't really flashy when fighting. It's just one-on-one with a person with a similar weapon and moves to you, fighting in a parking lot. It's a nice battle, and on Bitter, incredibly challenging, but not cheap. The music helps make it entertaining as well. Also, the cutscene that happens after is really funny, and breaks the fourth wall a couple of times too.
Wait a sec. You want me to tie up all these loose ends? I don't think so.
You're the protagonist. I'm just a cool, handsome foil who happens to be your twin brother. Hate to say it, but it's your job.
Great. I'm not complaining though. Number 1. Roxas fight. Kingdom Hearts 2. The original version of this fight was just a cutscene, and while cool, I did feel a little disappointed, especially the first time I played it when I was a kid. Thank God for Final Mix. These characters have gone through so much and have dealt with many things along their own journeys. It all comes to a head in this fight. 2 Keylade wielders who are pretty much the same person, going all out against each other in a fight to the end, not technically to the death. It's challenging too. Fool around too much, and Roxas won't hesitate to take you down hard. He will use shockwaves, light lasers, dash attacks, and a super move that can ruin your day. You can steal his Keyblades, and he will still put up a fight. I had a blast fighting him. I've had so much fun with so many points in this game. Hell, Cage 2 is my favorite Cage game. But this is a moment that really stuck with me. That and the Heartless War on Hollow Bastion. So, yeah, Roxas is the most fun boss I've faced so far. And hey, if you find him too easy, you can always fight the Data version of him. Over, and over, and over, and you know, because it's fun. Not because I died too many times. You are in a coliseum fighting against a giant robot bull who keeps charging at you, and I am messing up these lines because I am illiterate and cannot speak. Kind of. He traded you. Starkiller's a sex slave now because he traded him instead of training him. Not this one. Vader hits like a truck. Truck. Why did I say it like that? Truck. Besides his insta-kill move, Henzi, really. Henzi, not Henry, Henzi. Rule 63 Henry apparently is Henzi. Shit, what did I just do?